In 1935, workers near a river in Cleveland discovered human remains wrapped in old clothing.
And at first, police believed they were dealing with a single isolated murder.
But that idea disappeared quickly after investigators examined the scene more closely.
The victim had been deliberately dismembered, and there were signs that the killer had experience handling bodies.
Which immediately created fear among investigators because the crime showed planning rather than panic.
Only weeks later, another body was discovered in a different location, and the condition of the remains matched the first case closely.
Enough that police realized they were hunting the same person.
As the months passed, more victims appeared across empty lots, industrial areas, and roads.
Near the city, and almost every discovery revealed the same horrifying pattern. Many victims could not be identified because of the condition of the remains, and this made
the investigation extremely difficult since police had little information about who the victims were before death.
Newspapers began calling the unknown attacker the Torso Killer, and the name spread rapidly through Cleveland, creating panic throughout the city.
Residents feared walking alone after dark, and rumors spread constantly because no one
understood how the killer continued leaving bodies without being caught.
Investigators searched factories, train yards, shelters, and abandoned buildings, looking for witnesses or patterns.
But the killer seemed to move through the city without leaving clear evidence behind.
Some victims appeared connected to poor neighborhoods and transient communities, which meant disappearances were not.
Always reported immediately, and this gave the killer more time before investigations even began.
The brutality of the crimes shocked even experienced detectives because the scene showed control, precision, and repeated methods rather than random violence.
During the investigation, police questioned countless suspects and followed leads
connected to doctors, butchers, workers, and drifters, because the killer appeared comfortable handling bodies in ways most people could not.
The city demanded answers, and pressure increased on investigators as each new discovery pushed fear even higher.
Then another body appeared, only a short distance from a police station,
which many investigators interpreted as a direct challenge from the killer himself.
The message seemed clear because the murderer was confident enough
to leave victims near authorities without fear of immediate capture.
As the number of victims increased, investigators realized they were dealing with
one of the most disturbing murder investigations in the country. Detectives worked day and night attempting to identify victims and reconstruct movements before death.
But the lack of reliable records during that period slowed the investigation constantly.
One investigator in particular became deeply connected to the case and pushed aggressively for results, believing that the killer was likely someone living quietly within the city.
Raids were conducted across areas believed connected to criminal activity, and multiple suspects were
detained and questioned, but none could be tied directly to all the murders.
The killer continued avoiding identification while public fear kept growing. And the newspapers reported every new discovery with massive headlines.
And as Cleveland searched desperately for answers, another body was discovered, proving once again that the murderer had not stopped.
The investigation expanded through the late 1930s, and police attempted new strategies, including surveillance operations
and undercover activity in areas where victims were believed to spend time before disappearing.
Despite these efforts, the killer remained invisible, and every new crime scene only deepened the mystery surrounding the case.
Some investigators believed the murderer possessed medical knowledge, while others argued that
the precision came from repeated practice over time rather than professional training.
Witnesses occasionally described suspicious individuals near locations connected to victims.
But descriptions were inconsistent, and no single suspect could be confirmed.
The pressure on authorities became extreme because newspapers criticized the investigation
heavily, and residents demanded immediate action before more bodies appeared. At one point, investigators even destroyed sections of makeshift camps where many homeless residents lived, believing the killer might be
hiding there or using the area to target vulnerable victims.
But even after those operations, the murders continued, and bodies kept appearing in shocking locations around Cleveland.
The lack of forensic technology during the 1930s created major obstacles, and investigators could
not rely on modern DNA analysis or advanced evidence recovery methods that exist today.
This allowed the killer to move through the city with far less risk of identification compared to modern investigations.
As years passed, theories multiplied and numerous suspects were discussed publicly.
But none were ever officially charged for the full series of murders.